All right, audio's on. Okay, cool. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the writing with authority. And so basically this means looking at sources as something that can and have to be analyzed. What this means is not taking everything that you hear or that is presented to you or that it claims to be factual as factual. It's going in and doing that work and figuring out whether it is factual. So in this class, when we were writing our research paper, one of the things that we had to do is look at the sources that we already had coming in with our research and not only just take them as fact, not only just use them, not only make sure they were used correctly, but actually look at the source themselves and see whether they were factual. And, we discussed a lot of things such as, author affiliations. Like if someone works for a tobacco company and they're writing an article about how cigarette smoking is actually not bad for you, then obviously they're going to have some, conflict of interest there. And, this is a very real and significant factor. And in fact, in a lot of scientific papers, where authors are claiming to have made some discovery or research, you are actually required to state that there is no affiliation or no bias or conflict of interest. So that's just one of many examples. And so kind of what we did in this class to facilitate the process a little bit is something called the crap sheet. So the crap sheet, let me pull up an example here. Okay, so this is an example of the crap sheet. And so as you can see, I considered 6 sources. And for each one, the CRAP acronym actually stands for different subtitles. So currency, what is the timeliness of the information? Relevance, the importance of the information for your needs. So actually, let me go through these one by one. So currency, if you have an article about technology and education that was published in the 1980s, that's obviously not going to be very relevant. So you got to take that into account. For relevance, the importance of the information, again, so if you're doing a study on, like stem cells, you're not going to be looking in magazines for popular culture, for example. It's a silly example, but again, is your information relevant to what you need? If you're going to do stem cell research, you'll be looking at scientific journals, you'll be looking at editorial boards, scientific blogs, for example. Just make sure you're getting information that is going to help you further your argument instead of just distract the reader. Authority, how credible is the source of the information? That's kind of what we started off with. It's basically, is there conflict of interest? Who is publishing this? Are they claiming to be very educated? Stuff like that. And we have to make sure that their claims are substantiated. If they claim to have a PhD, where did they receive it from? Did they actually go through and finish it? Et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. And that kind of leads into accuracy again. So is the author's claims credible? Is their educational background credible? Is what they're talking about, do they have the expertise needed to talk about that? And then purpose, again, so are they... Again, back to the cigarette example, are they trying to sell more cigarettes? Like, is that the reason that they're claiming that cigarettes actually aren't bad for you? Are they trying to convince you? Are they trying to lead you to buy something? Are they trying to make you believe something? So that's what this is for. And rhetorical notes section is just some key points that you can put in to help you remember what sources are more relevant to your discussion and what you're going to use. And as you can see, this was very helpful for me in analyzing my sources. And again, I did them for these different 6 sources, and it helped me eliminate and focus on the ones that were the best for my paper. And it's just a really methodical way of going through and really checking that the sources you're using are correct and are going to be beneficial to you. There was also another paper that was assigned to us termed Writing with Authority, and it was a very good article, and it explained how people have this misconception that every single written or published document has to be factual, and people are perplexed often when they receive a lower grade for simply restating things that are found in in a paper, for example, or in a book or in a textbook or a published journal, and they received a low grade, that was actually the entire example of that story, because they're not critically examining each statement. It's kind of like a debate that you can have information coming at you from all different sources, but you can't believe everything. And again, another example of this is we do it all the time in real life. For example, I recently saw a commercial about Old Spice, the men's product line, and their motto is the scent of confidence. So if you think about it, they're trying to tie a feeling, an emotion to their product, and if you blindly accept that, they're getting exactly what they want. The corporation wants you to believe that confidence is derived from Old Spice products. So again, we're always critically analyzing and doing this in real life, but the crapsheet was really useful, and the article was really useful, and kind of bringing that to light, bringing that to attention, at least for me, really thinking about what someone is saying and why they're saying it, and not just using their argument as blind fact. So with that taken into consideration, the next topic that I'm going to move on to is the consideration of the audience and the purpose that we were trying to achieve. So what we were trying to achieve, I'll start with these actually. What we were trying to achieve is we're doing a publication for first year composition students. So, it's the mantra of like the film industry, the advertisement industry, many industries where you're trying to approach people is that know your audience. For example, if I'm teaching a 5th grade class about chemistry, I'm not going to walk into the class and give them a detailed lecture on an elaborate organic chemistry mechanism. And start saying, using jargony terms like the nucleophile attacks the electrophile and displaces this term, and it's confusing and it's inappropriate. So what I would do is I would walk in and say, look, a lot of things that you enjoy, like cheese or yogurt or candies, or some of these things are actually made possible by chemistry. Just kind of pique their interest a little bit, get them thinking about chemistry. So that's just one example of catering to your audience, so to speak. So for us, first-year composition students, we assume that they generally have a fear of writing, that they are stressed out, they're confused, and often perplexed at what is expected of them, and they sometimes feel that their teachers are unapproachable, and they feel like that they are struggling by themselves. So we're really catering to that aspect of the first-year composition students. So one of my favorite things that we did in this class, which was really fun, was creating memes. So when you think of something, how can I put this? If you can have the greatest invention, you can have the greatest achievement, you can have the greatest paper, you can be the greatest person in the world is what I'm trying to get at. But if you can't express yourself properly, if you can't get other people excited about what you're doing, then what's the point? So these memes were actually used in order to convey this kind of more dense information of not trusting secondary sources as fact, and to convey it visually in a simple to understand and easy and perhaps even fun manner. So just one interesting tidbit, because I find it fascinating. A meme is actually derived from the term gene, which genes are inherited and passed on. And so the guy who created the name meme was actually thinking, well, meme is a cultural unit that is inherited and passed on. So just an interesting tidbit that I thought was pretty cool. So, so here, obviously don't trust the author. This is just kind of a funny, humorous political depiction of not trusting secondary sources. It's true, I promise, the typical classical Pinocchio, like I'm telling the truth. And then conflict is the beginning of consciousness, kind of a deeper, something you'd see posted like on the side of a building or something. Again, demonstrating the importance of analysis. And then just a funny lie detector meme, people are liars, don't take it lying down. Support message. Sorry. Right, and then we thought this was funny because in a lot of sci-fi movies they always have the classic lie detector. But so that was one way that we catered to the audience, which is first-year composition students, and it was very interesting because even when I was writing my final essay, there was some words, there was some jargon in it that I didn't realize that maybe would alienate my audience, or that would cause them to understand the issue less or become disinterested in my topic simply because it seemed unapproachable. And some of my peers had pointed that out to me. And actually, that's a segue into the next topic, what I'll get at in a minute. But again, tailoring to first-year composition students, they're normally tech savvy. A lot of them don't like reading paper format articles, textbooks. So we do have a digital version of the print magazine, and we try to make it attractive to a first-year composition student. It's not overwhelming. We have these very simple links you can contact. We personalized it just to show them, we are students just like they are. Just get like a name to a face kind of relationship. Like, look, guys, we're students just like you. Right. Encourage them, let your voice be heard, give them a nicely designed website like they're used to. Here's quick links. If they encourage them to submit something, they can search by date. They can do different topics, and these photos, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and these photos are designed to kind of, just like any other news article or website, just designed to engage and get students interacted with the website and get them thinking about writing. Right, okay. And so this is actually a perfect segue into learning with peers. So let's start with the peer criticism. So, I think it's a very common thing for people, any work that someone is working on, whether it be an artist painting a painting, a scientist typing a journal, an English professor writing a research essay, or a student of a class writing an essay for an English professor. It doesn't matter. Any type of work that someone works on consistently, you start becoming, I guess immune to would be the right word to it. You just don't notice the errors or the mistakes, and you start just accepting them as they are. And really, it's not intentional, but you start seeing things within your own little bubble and your own perception. And I think the peer revision process was great because this work, we've been working on it, a lot of people for 2 semesters. It's a very long time, and once you work on something this long, you're gonna get trapped in that bubble. So this was a peer criticism that was done, and Lorena wrote it for me, and right, exactly. So she kind of, even when I didn't realize some of the key points, she kind of elucidated that for me. Right here, she saw that one of my major focuses was a study in high school, and most of the sample size there experienced cyberbullying. That bring up the contention of, who am I focusing on? Am I focusing on just specifically the issue? Do I want to regulate it? And she kind of I guess was kind of spurring me to action that we should be able to interfere with the personal lives of students, and we should actually do something. And so that really kind of got me thinking, okay, let me change the focus of my essay from mainly a descriptive essay about cyberbullying to what we can do to change it. So that was really helpful. So we did that, and then let me see. And then, okay, so basically these are a couple of drafts I did, and what we did, talk about these later, but what we did, or what I did, is I kept a running draft on my computer. These are just a couple that I've uploaded, but essentially I completely changed part of my essay. I removed a couple of sources. I essentially what it was is that I was discussing about what cyberbullying is and what the study said and what happened in the past, and then maybe I had a brief paragraph at the end about regulation, and I was like, oh, okay, after Lorena's comment, then I started realizing, let me redraft this. So what was also great is what we did is that we were all assigned to different editorial teams once we did finish our process of revision. And the great part about these editorial teams was that everybody was specialized. Like one team was doing grammar, one team was looking at title appropriateness, audience appropriateness, one was looking at citations and sources and whether they were being used effectively, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing that was great is that all of us got tons of feedback from a lot of different people throughout the class. We got different opinions, different expressions, different viewpoints, and it really helped me. Like I got some comments like, "What are you trying to say here, dude?" Or like, "What does this mean?" Or are you really trying to are you really enforcing the regulation argument, or are you still a little too sidetracked? What do you need to change? Are your words too jargony? Is it understandable? Like or it's good. I understand it is clear, but you need to change the title. And that was this learning with peers process was amazing. And it's something like you see in movies where they're running a big magazine editorial staff, or where everybody is editing and focusing on specific aspects, but we're all working together as a team. And this is the first time I've really done something like that, and it was pretty awesome. Like I think it came together really well, and we really got some great quality articles out of it, and we all got to get exposed to each other's work. It wasn't just cyberbullying behind the screens. Like I got to see a bunch of other things. Like I learned about the DACA program, I learned about student procrastination, I learned about managing time, and I learned about just a lot of things that were very interesting. And I got to see a lot of creativity and different perspectives, and I really appreciated that. And in my own essay, unfortunately, I cleared the comments and accepted them as I went through to keep track of my revisions, but there was tons of comments on my essay on individual words, and it was really wonderful. And that feedback, I really can't discount that feedback. And let's see. And of course, so working on the website, building the website or building the magazine, the respective teams, I chose to do the website. I chose the website team, and again, working with my peers, thinking about how we should design these boxes. What should be the background? Should these squares and triangles be moving? Should we have a submit button on the first page? Should these buttons be condensed? Should they be rounded? Should, all these things you don't think about. Should this be animated when you first open the page? Let's see if I can show you that. A little laggy, but just basically these design decisions, these which articles should we feature, how big should the cover photo be, or what cover photo should we use? Actually, yes, that was actually very fun. I think reading people's essays and deciding if their photo cover was appropriate or what their best photo cover was. Just for me, I can show you a few examples. So again, my essay was about cyberbullying. This was one photo I had. This was another. This would be one side of bullying where someone is laughing, and then this would be the other side of bullying where someone's offended. This is kind of like a more metaphorical, you've hit rock bottom type of deal. This is you want the bullying to stop. This is just another variation. And then this is another variation, again, because my article is called Behind the Screen, so I thought it'd be clever to reflect myself into my computer screen. But again, so this was the cover photo that was chosen, and I do think it is appropriate, and it probably was the best one. And it was chosen not by me, but by my peers. And and it was a very fun and really creative and very inspiring process. It really helped me to understand what I was trying to convey, and helped that get across to first-year composition students more appropriately. And even, again, when I looked into my own writing as a writer, and I wanted to see, I said, I thought my essay was perfect. And again, just like an old friend, the more time you spend with your essay, the more you get to see what's really behind the words, and you kind of get out of that, jet lag kind of state where you just think everything's okay because you've read it, like 1,000 times. It kind of like driving on a highway for a long period of time. And, so I do love puns, so this is just a pun for the entertainment of anybody who wanted to read my reflection, and this is also another one. But really, the peer criticism was an essential part of this entire writing process, and without it, I think I would have been a lot more confused as to what direction I was taking. And Right, and we built a product, and it's kind of awesome to like see this all come to fruition. That when you've worked on something for so long, how much better it gets, and to see this looks like a wonderful website. Like it looks like just like a regular journal or news website, and it's pretty awesome to have been a part of that, and to not only help myself but all these other people in my class be able to do the same thing together as a group. Right, and so save the best for last, of course. This is something that my teacher showed me, which is really awesome. So you always want to go from old info to new info, and I was having a lot of trouble doing this, and I leave this into the peer criticism, peer learning category, because your teacher ideally should be your peer, and you should be able to interact with your teacher just like you would another student. They should be approachable, and I'm happy to say that Ms. Garcia really was, and it was an awesome experience. And this was one of my favorite things, because this is really funny, like a really, really good way to demonstrate how you can improve your writing, and something I wouldn't have thought about. So my sister has a fat cat. The cat is a little and basically the point is fat cat. We're talking about the fat cat. Then we keep this continuity going. Then we talk about the cat and the rug. Then the rug is being torn up, and that just shows that it doesn't matter what you're talking about. You could be talking about a fat cat tearing up a rug, and you can still improve your writing. You can still have a wonderful transition. And that really helped me, because that was something I struggled with in my research paper with the transitions. It was kind of like block of text, block of text, block of text. It was like a bad TV series, I would say. It's supposed to be a series. Each episode is good, but there's no continuity. So again, that was something I considered as part of the peer editing process that I really enjoyed. And I got a lot of advice from my teacher, and I got a lot of advice from the students around me. And I've really never had an English class definitely like this, and it was really fun. And I think because all of us were kind of forced to get out of our comfort zone a little bit, it encouraged us to do a lot better work than we would have otherwise. So right, I don't want to belabor the point. I have gone through I guess 3 most significant things to me. And just our final product came out awesome, and I think it was a lot of fun, and I was grateful for the opportunity, and that's it.